Hey guys, today we're going to a strange monument in Cambodia. This place is known as the Ko Ker Temple, also known as the Thom Temple. But what is strange is that it looks just like a pyramid, and not a regular pyramid, but a step pyramid. Looks eerily similar to the Mayan pyramids situated in Mexico. Let's go take a look and see what the site has to offer. The Ko Ker Pyramid is an extremely mysterious site set up in the middle of a jungle with so many hidden secrets. I hope to uncover at least a few of these secrets today. This is a very isolated place even today, and most travelers do not visit this site because of its remote location. When I reach there, the very first detail I notice is that there is a huge compound wall built around the pyramid. This is a very strange detail because most of the pyramids, Egyptian pyramids, Mayan pyramids, and even the other Hindu pyramid I showed you in Cambodia did not have a compound wall built around them. They're all completely open, but this wall means that it was meant to be used for private reasons, perhaps only by a selected group of people, or they were doing scientific experiments, or they were doing official work, or at least this pyramid was meant to be used only at certain times. And as I tried to walk in, I'm mesmerized by this pyramid, but I want to check something to see if my theory is right. And I find exactly what I'm looking for. You look at this hole drilled in the stone. What do you think this is? This hole is for the door, the hinges of a door, which once stood in this doorway. Now, the entire place seems open because the door is destroyed. But back then, this was a gated place. There was a massive door or a gate here, and you could not even see the pyramid or access it when you're outside the compound wall. The closer I walk towards the pyramid, I feel a strange energy pulling me. According to archaeologists, it was built 1,100 years ago by an obscure king called Jayavarman IV. The details are stunning. To start with, we can see it was built with sacred geometry. There are 7 steps, 7 levels in this pyramid. Now, what is the meaning of this? I know this looks like a Mayan pyramid, but this is actually a Hindu temple dedicated to Lord Shiva. In Hinduism, there are 7 dimensions or 7 worlds above the ground. Each world is called a loka. Each level of this pyramid represents one loka or one plane of existence. Of course, experts accept that each level of this pyramid represents one loka. But Hinduism also states there are 7 more lokas under the ground as well. So this means there should be an inverted pyramid buried inside the ground. This is a very interesting point to think about because this means there are underground structures buried directly underneath this pyramid. Many Cambodian archaeologists and historians do believe that this pyramid has underground structures, and they think the entrance to these secret chambers are hidden somewhere in the jungle, waiting to be discovered. And this is not a baseless theory. You can clearly see the mound here, a raised pile of dirt, which is covering up a protruding underground structure. Remember, I showed you the same feature in Baksay Cham Krang pyramid as well. In that pyramid also, you can see these mounds covering up the underground structures. This is not a coincidence that you see these mounds in both these pyramids. The mound's position is at the corner of the pyramid, just like the mounds at Baksay Chamkrang pyramid as well. All these are clear evidences that there is an underground structure, possibly 7 more lokas waiting to be uncovered. Remember, the lowest loka is dominated by reptilians or nagas, which live in deep underground areas. When you look at the pyramid, you can see that the ancient stairs are right in the middle of the pyramid, but they have partially collapsed. When you zoom in on the stairs, you see something quite interesting. The stone blocks on the stairs were deliberately removed. This was not done by nature. Look at the stone blocks on the ground. Somebody took their time to destroy the pyramid. See, this pyramid is very old. It's at least 1,100 years old. And ancient structures are very hard to demolish because they were constructed with advanced technology. But this destruction was also done by very cunning people. Why did they specifically remove the stone blocks from the stairs? And the rest of the stone blocks in the pyramid are not touched? Because by destroying the stairs, you can prevent people from climbing the pyramid and worshipping the lingam, which is placed on top of the pyramid. Think about it. Without the stairs, no one can climb the pyramid unless you're willing to construct another set of new stairs like what the Cambodian government has done now. It's time for me to climb the pyramid, and I have many questions running through my mind. Why was this Hindu temple designed as a pyramid? Is it related to the Mayan pyramids in Central America, which look very similar to the stepped pyramid? The gods of Mayas are also quite similar to Hindu gods. Are these mere coincidences? Or are these two civilizations linked to each other, even though they're separated by thousands of miles? Not only that, this pyramid is said to be built overnight. Yes, within just 12 hours. And a pyramid in Mexico, the Uxmal pyramid, is also said to be built overnight. How do you explain these similarities? As I climb the first level, the first tier, I can see the stone blocks neatly laid one on top of the other. I'm amazed at the number of blocks that would have been needed to construct the pyramid. These are all sandstone blocks or possibly geopolymer blocks, each one weighing several tons. This level itself is 200 feet long, 200 feet wide, and is 20 feet tall. So imagine the number of blocks underneath this level alone. As I climb up further, I see a nice stone block that's about 2 or 3 feet long. Look at the shape of this. It's not just a simple cube. It is deliberately cut with multiple corners. See how many corners have been cut, and this gives us good insight about why this pyramid was very hard to destroy. These corners would be perfectly interlocking with its neighboring stone blocks. If it was a simple cube placed one on top of the other, then they could have been easily removed one by one. This shape would be much harder to dismantle. Blocks like these were cut and placed on the walls of the pyramid. All these blocks have multiple corners interlocking with neighboring blocks. This is how all the blocks were cut or maybe even molded and then stacked on top of one another. As I climb higher and higher, the view becomes more and more spectacular. This place is still in the middle of a jungle, and the levels of the pyramid look great, especially the corners, when you see them from above. Whoever built this had a definite reason for creating this height. This altitude was used for a specific scientific purpose. On top of the pyramid, there is a huge ruined structure with nothing but a giant hole. There was a 30 feet crystal lingam placed inside this hole 1,000 100 years ago. Look at this figure. What is this? It appears to be standing on two legs, but I'm not sure what this is. Its head has been chopped off. And on this side, we can see another figure which has its hands up as though it is holding something. These stones are part of the original structure which once stood here once upon a time. They must have looked fresh and painted back then. As I examine the stones, I find something inside the rubble. Take a peek inside. There's something quite fascinating. Looks like scales. Are they scales or feathers? I'm not sure. What is this creature? It could be the scales of a serpent or naga, or it could be the feathers of eagle or Garuda. What do you think this is? Let's find out more. I try to make my way through the rubble. Everything is in ruins here. At the backside, there are a series of giant stone blocks which would have made up a part of the structure on the top level. This is one block of stone, this is one block, this is one block, and this is one block. But look at the size of this. This should be like 3 feet long and 1.5 feet wide. So all cut and pieced together. So these are a bunch of rocks, all the rocks here. It's always fascinating to see this kind of a layout where giant stone blocks which weigh in tons look neatly cut and arranged like a giant loaf of bread was cut and arranged for dinner. Remember guys, this pyramid is about 100 feet tall. So imagine lifting all these blocks up to this height. This involves some very advanced technology. As I walk on these giant stone blocks, I find more intriguing features. I can see some beautiful carvings and I take a closer look at them. Look at the size of my head and look at the size of the carving's head. Compare the two heads and you realize this is a gigantic carving. This is the face, right? So it actually has the face of the pig. Believe it or not, it doesn't have a beak like I thought. It has the eyes. And look at the scales on the bottom, on the head. It's like a lion, but it has the scales. What is it doing? It's basically holding up the structure. It's just holding up the structure. When you look at another figure right next to it, I realized it is a Yali. So it is not a Garuda or a Naga, but a Yali holding up the structure. Yalis are strange lion-like figures commonly found in South Indian temples, and they're usually shown holding up the structures of the temple. And we can see the same depiction here, even though India is more than 3,000 miles away from this pyramid in Cambodia. I hope you guys like this video. I am Praveen Mohan. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'll talk to you soon. And I'm going to go over there and find something amazing.